Everton 0, Manchester United 1. United managed to get a victory away from home. Another great display by Carrick, being able to make a substitution, change the game. But not all the credit goes to Carrick. It's got to go to SESKO as well, and Mbeumo and Cunha, the three new signings with incredible link-up play. I thought I was watching 2008 Rooney, Tevez and Ronaldo in that type of goal. It's nice to see when the game's not really going our way, we can still impact, show resilience and get results. Now, I did have work yesterday. I work every Monday, so Monday night football games, if we're ever playing, I don't get to watch them fully. I do work in a bar as my second job. The game is on in the background, but I don't get to fully watch the game, and be able to analyse everything that happened. So I have watched the highlights since, and from what I saw, it obviously wasn't pretty. We didn't necessarily play bad. I think Everton had a good go. They were the home team, but we didn't really look like we were struggling, to be honest. They had a lot of corners. I think they had 9 corners altogether. Once again, using one of those stupid techniques that teams are doing at the moment, which is some Sunday League stuff surrounding the goalkeeper. I think Le Mans did really, really well. A well-deserved man of the match. You're going to have games like that. These sort of games are going to come in the Premier League, away from home, where it's going to be a rough game. It's not going to be pretty. And just to get the job done, he's getting the job done. And that's exactly how they did it. Bringing on SESKO again, I thought he did really well to sprint up the pitch, take the goal the way he did. You can tell he's in incredible form at the moment. It was, like I said, a nice link up between 3 new signings. Maybe SESKO getting a start. I mean, I thought last game, I thought he would start yesterday. After last game, we were quite poor against West Ham. I thought if anyone was going to be dropped, we would drop Ahmad. But I don't understand why Ahmad has to start, because he's our only out-and-out winger. When I mean that, I mean like a hug the touchline, beat a man type of winger. Cunha and Mbeumo more inside forwards. But yeah, I don't see why SESKO doesn't deserve a start now. I think we got a few good home fixtures coming up. I think he'll play a vital role in those fixtures. Like I said, the striker, when a striker gets confidence, that's all they need. Once he put a few goals away, which he has done recently, it proves that you can do many things. I thought, people will say, "Oh, we've had to make a substitution to save the game again," but it's part of football. And I saw a picture on Instagram. I'm not sure how true this stat is, but it did look like it came from Sky. So maybe I missed it and it popped up during the game or after the game. I'm not sure. But under Amorim, he played 47 Premier League matches, and he only scored 2 goals from his substitutions. 2 in 47 games. Now Carrick, in his 5 games, has made 3 substitutions where they've scored. 2 from SESKO and 1 from Cunha. Yeah, that's 3 in 5 games compared to 2 in 47. Now that just paints a picture for me, because that was one of our number 1 problems under Amorim, is he couldn't adapt to games properly. He couldn't manage the game. He didn't bring the right subs on. He always brought centre-backs on. I don't want to have to keep going back to Amorim, but that's what we're doing at the moment. We're comparing, aren't we? Carrick's doing well. What went wrong before? What's doing well now? And that is a huge part of it. Substitutions, bringing on centre-backs and keeping 3 centre-backs on it. In the previous fixture, it was against Everton. They went 10 men. They went down to 10 men early on in the game, and Amorim, to try and go and win the game or get a result, keeps all 3 centre backs on, keeps the back 3 in the back 3 shape, and it's such a negative way of thinking about how to win a football match or grab a draw. And yeah, yesterday we showed resilience and we grabbed a goal when we needed to, defended a bit more towards the end. I think Maguire had a decent game. I think we missed Martinez a bit on the ball, I could tell. But Le Mans, he looks so solid, man. I'm glad. It's ironic they had Van der Sar on in Monday Night Football, because, he goes and gets man of the match in front of one of the best goalkeepers the league's ever seen. And I'm really happy for him. I talked about it in my last video, but the goalkeeper position is such an important position in football. It's an important position for United because there's a lot of pressure coming to United and being able to perform. How many transfers have not hit the ground running since Fergie? And obviously in recent years, that was the goalkeeper position with Onana and Bayunda. Now I know Bayunda's still in the team. But yeah, Le Mans has come in as a young keeper. Not many people had heard of him. And nobody expected the way he would. He's just very calm, you know. There's a lot of goalkeepers who scream and shout at their back line, but he you know, he's not. He seems quiet anyway. Maybe he is loud, you just don't see it. But he didn't seem like that type of guy. He seems really chill, and maybe that's part of Carrick, because Carrick's persona and the way he is in his interviews, he's so calm and chilled. All the ex-players, Rooney and Scholes, talking about the way he was a calm player. He was a calm player on the pitch. You know, people say underrated. I mean, the amount of people who say underrated now, he probably isn't underrated anymore. But Carrick was an amazing player, and as a midfield, as a six, you needed to be that. You know, comfortable on the ball, comfortable in his mind, and now he's using those traits to manage the team, and he's getting the best out of these players. He talks about his relationship with Benjamin Sesko, and you can tell how happy he is right now. And having a player come off the bench and being comfortable with it is a hard thing to do in football. These days, you know, you're trying to build up big squads for all the games that you have to play. I think Pep managed to do it a couple of years ago. You know, United back in the late 90s, you know, with our treble winning side, had a big squad, you know, 4 really good strikers. Same with Pep. He had loads of forwards he could pick from. I know they didn't play 2 up front, played 3 up top, but they had so many options they could chop and change. And it's funny, you got a player like Mahrez, who I see as one of the best right wingers the league's ever seen, right? Top 3 in my opinion. People forget, under Pep, he wasn't a solid starter. You know, Bernardo who played up there. Sterling used to play on the right sometimes. Sané would chop and change. He was mostly left wing. And yeah, you had other players to pick. You had other players to pick from. He didn't always start the. Now he's a big, important part of their trouble winning side. But for example, someone like Jack Grealish as well. People forget. You know, people think he was a waste in Pep's era, but he wasn't. He was an important part of that treble winning side. And when you want to play in multiple competitions, which I know United aren't doing at the moment, but that's what we're getting ready for. Having people who can come off the bench and affect the game is so good for a squad. You know, it gives the manager a lot more confidence in games. You know, being able to switch up formations and tactics and play differently against teams that set up differently against you. And yeah, if we get back into Europe at the end of the season, we're going to need that. We're going to need more firepower, don't get me wrong. The squad has got a long way to go yet. I'm not saying we're going to, you know, as much as I want to be in the Champions League to attract players, it's going to be a tough ask to actually do well in the competition next year. You know, we've got a lot of signings we need to make. We've got 3 games coming up in 7 days. We've got Palace home, Newcastle away, and then Villa home. You know, I was going to say 3 big games, but every game is a big game at the moment. The reason these are big games is because once again, we're going from a whole week break to only half a week break, which is what a lot of other teams have got to do, like Liverpool and Chelsea and Villa, who we're fighting for Champions League spots, are all in different competitions, multiple actually. And we're in none, apart from the league. So there's no excuses. And I was just talking about this, you know, the strength in squad. Well, I'll be surprised if SESKO doesn't start one of these 3 games. I'm sure I think he'll start the home game. I think the home game is the best game to start him in. You know, away at Newcastle, St James Park, it's going to be a rough one. It's always tough going up there. I think we're going to need our normal front 3 to do the, you know, the pressing and the dirty work in the first 60 minutes of the game, and then bring SESKO on in the last half hour. You know, I think that would work better at St James's Park. Whereas against Crystal Palace, I think we might need him as an outlet, especially with the setup that Glasner typically has with the basically 5 back. They're always going to set low block, and yeah, we're going to need as much creativity in the front as we can. And, you know, he's obviously an outlet, being 6'5", and get the balls into the box. And yeah, the Villa game, that's going to be, that could be deciding who goes third position. They're only 3 points ahead of us. They're not playing well at all at the moment. Liverpool, I think, got lucky against Forest. I think Forest had a really good game against them. And yeah, Chelsea don't really look themselves either. They're a bit iffy. I think this is a really, really good opportunity. The pressure will start building now because we've gone from the underdog team where there wasn't really any pressure on us, or Michael Carrick, or the players. At the time of the Carrick taking over, it was more just trying to get the players playing some good football, see if we can get top 6, maybe. The expectations weren't as high, but now the position we're in and the form we're in, and now the target changes. Now it has to, in my opinion, it has to be top 4. I don't think anyone's going to be listening to this video who plays for United, so I don't think any pressure is going to be piled on top of them. But I do hope nobody in the media, like ex-United players, say anything like this, because I don't want any pressure to be put on them. But at the end of the day, at this time of the season, pressure builds regardless, so they're going to have to get used to it at some point. I just want the team to keep playing good football no matter what. If, say, for some reason we do slip up and we somehow finish 6th, say Liverpool get some form as well as Chelsea and Villa come back, but we don't necessarily play bad, we just don't get the results, like away at Newcastle, we could easily lose that. Home to Villa, they could grab a point, could even win the game. I can't see that happening at the moment, but that could happen, and we could drop 6 points like that. Chelsea and Liverpool both win. Villa obviously got one of those draws, so we go down to 6. As long as we play well, I don't mind finishing 6th as much. I will be a bit annoyed because of where we are at the moment. I do want Champions League football. It's nice to have. It's easier to get better players in. But we are Manchester United at the end of the day. We'll still attract players. But as long as we keep playing good football, that is the most important thing at this moment in time. Because that was the only expectation that we had as fans when Carrick was appointed. So we should remember that. And like I know I just said about putting the pressure on, reality is reality, but I just think that at the end of the season, if we can sit back and go, wow, we've changed the way we play, we've got players playing good football, that's all that matters to me. But in doing so, if we do keep playing well, then we should be in the top 4, so we have nothing to worry about, really. That's it for today. Please hit a like, please subscribe, and comment down below what you want to see. Get involved, tell me what you think about the game, what videos you want me to make. I don't just do United content in terms of football. I'm going to start to do lots more content on my TikTok. If you see in the description down below, I have started doing other types of football content. But yeah, I do gaming, I do nerdy stuff. I've got my Twitch down below. Yeah, just give me a subscribe, give me a like, and let me know.